Andy Herman, the Pack a Day podcast at Andy Herman NFL joins us now on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Group One Call. That's all. I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
Can I, Andy? Are you here? I'm not looking.
Just keep your eyes closed.
Hold on. All right, here we go. I'm open. So wait, I'm not going to open my eyes yet. Josh.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, will you please play the piece that we talked about last week with Andy Herman? This is in regard to the Packers won by exactly 17 points. I have not opened my eyes. This is killing me. Play the bit. Play it.
Dub, I want that damn helmet on. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, if it's 17, if it's 17 points, that's the line, okay? If it's over 17, Andy wears the helmet. If it's under 17, but we still win, I'll wear a helmet.
Ooh.
If it's 17 points exactly, Josh does the show with his shirt off.
Okay, the police will be called.
Hey, you've done a podcast without your shirt on.
I don't want to spend the entire game just hoping that it's not a 17-point victory.
You and the entire state of Wisconsin.
I'm going to be cheering for JJ McCarthy at the end. JJ, just put up some damn points. Come on, help us out.
Come on, get in range.
Just a field goal, anything. Just safety, anything.
Anything. All right. Well, it didn't happen. Nope. And Josh immediately this morning was very quick to point out that this wasn't a bet.
No.
That he never agreed to this. I'm opening my eyes now to understand what I'm about to see, because Josh said, I'm never going to run away from this or that. Or okay. All right. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Holy mother. Are you just in overalls? And that's it?
I'm wearing snow pants. You said no shirt?
Okay.
So, got some,
I
don't have a shirt on. That was what you said. I'd like to point out, Andy, that you were here. Clearly, this was something that you and Trevor had going on about wearing the helmet.
No.
It was anytime the Packers won a Victory Monday, had Andy Herman in the helmet. That's what I said. I said, I want to see the damn helmet. And there was no Packers helmet on.
It's here.
Because they didn't win by more than 17 points. They didn't win by less than 17 points. For some reason, Trevor Thomas throws in there, Josh, you don't wear a helmet. You just do the show without a shirt on. And I go, I'm not doing that. That's what, there's no bet. There's not involved. I'm saying the police would get called. But I'm also, if you guys know me and you've been watching me do radio for the last decade, I commit to the bit. Okay. So this isn't because I lost anything. There's no bet. But listen, if you guys out there want to see a overweight man without a shirt on, pasty as all hell, you can go to the YouTube or Twitter account of WI Sports Radio, and you'll see me right now.
Somebody in that building, take a picture of this and post it, for the love of God.
I mean, it's right there.
Andy, what's your side of this story? Because he was real quick to be like, well, wasn't a bet. No bet.
I just want to say I had nothing to do with this. This was Trevor. This was Trevor on the spot. The helmet thing was me on the spot, waking up after 2 hours of sleep and just throwing a helmet on at the last minute. And then all of a sudden, Trevor's making point spreads at the at the last one of saying who's got to do what. I'm just glad it was you and not me, thankfully. So that's my only the whole bit here on it.
Well, I've never seen you do I've never seen you do a show with your shirt off before, but I have seen Josh do one. So that's what it just came top of mind for me. So, hey, look at us. A Victory Monday by exactly 17 points. I don't know what the odds of that are.
Apparently pretty good because the Badgers did it too. So
yeah, that was futuristically like, hey, Josh, just a heads up. This is going to trend not in your direction moving forward. Wow. Hey,
well done.
Thank you.
This is really well done.
You.
All right, Andy, let's break this down. Earlier in the show, we do a good, the bad, the ugly, and there really was no ugly and maybe one or two bad things.
There was an ugly. There was an ugly.
There was?
Oh.
All right. Well, can we start optimistically first, please?
He's so upset.
Nope, we're starting with the ugly.
Okay.
JJ McCarthy is maybe the worst quarterback in the entire history of the NFL. That was an ugly. So here's the big stat that we have now seen since 2000, since Y2K, which it now pains me to say that was 25 years ago. Since 2000, there are 852 quarterbacks that have been rated in EPA per dropback among qualified passers. 852. Number 852 on that list is Jamarcus Russell. Number 851 is JJ McCarthy. That is the level of play that we are seeing from JJ McCarthy. It's always interesting when you get a first round quarterback, and I talked about this a lot in the offseason with Minnesota and Chicago, having these two insane lottery tickets really in JJ McCarthy and Caleb Williams, two players that could change the NFC North and the NFC unequivocally, dependent upon if they are unbelievable and all pro caliber quarterbacks, or if they're both terrible and set their franchises back, 5-6 years, if at least, right? And in Chicago, we're seeing better from Caleb Williams. I don't think we're ready to say all Pro Bowl quarterback or anything like that, but it's meshing pretty well with Ben Johnson. They're winning football games, and that seems to at least be trending and tracking in the right direction. With Minnesota, this is a complete nightmare scenario for them. They are not going to overcome this easily. They're going to have to go quarterback shopping in the offseason in a significant way, in a way that I'm not sure how they're actually going to go about doing it. This might be Mac Jones being the quarterback of the Vikings next year, who they'd have to trade for, by the way. And in the meantime, I said this to my buddy Justice Mosqueda on the show last week. I think we're going to see Max Brosmer before the end of the season for the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think he can play, meaning JJ McCarthy, and I think they know it, and I think they're going to have to do something about it sooner rather than later. That's the ugly in this game.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's the best ugly you could find. The ugly I had wasn't necessarily in the game. It was just looking at the Vikings or the Bears and the Lions, and the fact that they also came away with wins, especially the Lions, prior to the Packers going to Detroit on Thanksgiving.
You know how good of a day this is for the Green Bay Packers, even though, yes, it sucks that the Giants didn't pull that off. They should have won. They had every right to win, and some interesting play calling at the end, etc. But the good news here is Green Bay in this game had 60 some plays of offense, but 40 plus of those were running the football. They were the ones, dictating and playing downhill in that situation. They only played 44 snaps on defense. The Detroit Lions went into overtime, played 77 snaps on defense, and gave up over 500 yards against Jameis Winston and the Giants offense. So yes, while it's a bummer that the Lions, ultimately won that game, having that many snaps and that much extra playing time in a very short week before you play Green Bay is a very less than ideal situation, especially when Green Bay had one of their lowest, effort needed games of the entire season. So yes, even though the Lions, won, that part sucks, but there's a huge advantage in how those two teams played yesterday.
Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and a shirtless Josh, Andy Herman from the Pack a Day podcast. You owned it. You're owning it. I love it. Well done.
Yeah, I'll commit to the bit, even though it's a dumb bit that you had and it wasn't a bet. But
so we're going to work backwards then. If the only ugly thing was JJ McCarthy, amongst other ugly things by the Vikings, if there is a bad, and then we're going to spend the rest of this segment on all of the good, because there's a lot of good, but the bad is there's a little bit of worry about Jordan Love's shoulder. What do you know?
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. A couple of the third down plays, but even still, they were 50% on third down for the day, which is really good. I think they're still first in the NFL on third down efficiency. And defensively on third down, they were amazing. So I think the big one is just Jordan. Tough to say. He was pretty. He said he felt good after. He said it was painful a couple of times, but he just didn't look entirely comfortable. He didn't look like, even like taking off to run. There was the one play where he overthrew Christian Watson, rolling to the right side. And it looked like he probably could have ran, but there maybe would have been, some sort of collision or hit on the play. So he decides to maybe throw instead of run. And I think we saw it last week, he would have ran and put his shoulder into somebody. And that was certainly not the case in this game. I thought at times, he was just maybe a little bit off. There was the play to Dontavian Wicks over the middle where he had the opportunity to convert a third down, a play that we've seen him make, and it ended up, it ended up short of his feet and not even remotely catchable. So I thought there were a couple plays in this one where it's tough to tell if, hey, maybe just made a bad throw or whatever, or if it was, the shoulder was affecting him. Clearly affected him enough where he couldn't hand off left-handed, which is, that kind of tells you of like, if you can't hand off, you're not extending a ton, you're not getting a ton of torque on that shoulder just by handing off. If the handoff is hurting you, that's a concern. And we saw Baker Mayfield last night, have the left shoulder injury, and then he went just an absolutely, it's amazing to me sometimes how NFL coaches can make some of the dumbest possible decisions in the world that you could imagine. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it's before halftime. Baker already had the shoulder injury. They're their own 30-yard line, and they have Baker attempt a 70-yard Hail Mary that, even if he was healthy, is never going to get there. And he attempts the Hail Mary and completely like re-hurts the shoulder doing it, and is out for the rest of the game. Like, you just wonder too of like, is there any risk there also? So, and of course, he got hit a couple times. It's good. We found out it's an AC joint sprain, a separated shoulder. I'm sure it's something that's going to bother him. Hopefully after the Lions game, getting a little bit of rest and kind of like a mini bye week can help him there. But it's a short week. You're going on turf this week. So, hopefully Jordan's going to be okay and can get him through that game, hopefully with a win.
Yeah. So follow up to that, two-parter here. First, do you think that LaFleur's plan and the fact that the running game was so prominent in the game against the Vikings was because just that the run was working, or was that the plan because Jordan Love wasn't necessarily 100%? And second, do you think that we're going to see Malik Willis play at any point in this game against the Lions?
The second part is no, unless it's a blowout one way or the other. It's similar to this sort of game. I don't think, could there be upplay? It'll be interesting to see, because they clearly don't want a QB sneak with him right now. And the solution to that in the past has been Tucker Kraft. Well, they don't have Tucker Kraft either. Savion Williams could be potentially an option there. He's a 6'4" guy, but he's got the foot injury as well. But he's like a 6'4" guy who's played some of the Wildcat quarterback and things like that. You could probably teach him to go under center and take a QB sneak. I would think that would be, especially with his size, that might be something that you could look at. But they're gonna have to maybe figure that out a little bit. But other than that, I don't think we see Jordan Love. Well, I'm sorry. The first question was, this is why you don't ask me two-part questions.
Sorry, the scheming from.
Okay, no. So I did ask Matt. I did ask Matt that after the game, and he said no. He said it was not that. He kind of like hesitated for a moment and kind of thought about it, and then it was like, no, not really. It's up to the viewer discretion if they want to take him at his word or not. But he said no. As far as what I think happened, I think everything played into it. So for me, it was once they got to 17 points, that game was over. The Vikings offense was never like, it would have taken them like an extra 4 quarters maybe to put up 17 points in that game. They just were not able to do anything efficiently on offense. Even their 2 drives that they scored were 50+ yard. One was a 59-yard field goal. The first field goal, which was like a 54-yarder, was really kind of set up too in a way by the kick into the end zone, which put them at the 35. They only went 31 yards on that drive and then kicked, I think it was like a 54-yard field goal.
52,
so
yeah,
52. So yeah, either way, like the defense did their job all throughout the day. And I think he knew, just bleed the clock. He basically said it in his post-game presser too. He's like, we just took the air out of the ball and just kept running the same run play, basically, because they knew that JJ McCarthy and that Vikings offense was not going to be able to put up any points against Green Bay's defense. And he was 1,000,000% right. I think add on top of that, the fact that the run game was working, Emmanuel Wilson looked really good in that game, that Jordan had the shoulder injury, that you had multiple injuries with, guys like Tucker Kraft, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden that are out of that game, where it definitely affects your passing offense. And then, I just think too, the score and everything just kind of dictated, hey, run the football and you're golden in this one. Not to mention too, you do have that Thursday game coming up, and you probably don't want to put an extra stress on your team. Just keep that clock running. They were right. You would have liked to have seen them convert a couple of those third downs to just keep it running a little bit more and to maybe get into the end zone eventually. But that was, I understand the frustration when it, on the season as a whole, when that's kind of how Matt's called things late in games when they've had the lead. And I've been critical of it in other times. Yesterday, I thought that was the blueprint for that game, and I thought it was the right call.
Andy Herman with the Pack a Day podcast, joining us on Inside Wisconsin Sports on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. We're live on YouTube and on Twitter. Josh is owning it. Yeah, I think he's owning it.
I mean,
he's in snow pants only. So watch at your own peril.
I'm not wearing a shirt.
No shirt, definitely a hat on, and bibs of some kind, and a lower third that protects all of us, frankly.
Yeah, that's just that. You're welcome for that, I guess.
It's been a fairly cautiously optimistic morning for Packers fans here on Inside Wisconsin Sports. Andy, is there anything other than the Vikings suck that we can hang our hat on from this game? Because we knew this team existed, this being the Packers showing up this way. What are the things that you saw yesterday that we go, got it, nailed it, finally?
I obviously want to watch this a little bit closer on the All-22 when the tape comes out. It should be out now, so I'll get to it today at some point. But I did think at the Anthony Belton offensive line, you have three guys in the middle now in Sean Ryan, Anthony Belton, and Aaron Banks that actually have the ability to move some people. And I think that is a potential game changer. And I think that's why we saw Emmanuel Wilson. But Wilson ran hard too, so don't take anything away from him. But I think that opened up just a little bit more. Not perfect. I think there were some times where things got blown up in the backfield. They weren't always assignment sure on stuff. But I think that has the potential to be a bit of a solution, not to mention adding Darian Kennard in as that sixth offensive lineman. Now you're really getting some beef on the field for Green Bay. And I think that they needed to do something to show that they could run the ball better. This wasn't a perfect game. In the end, Emmanuel Wilson's under 4 yards per carry. We're not seeing classic Rondane Badgers or Amon Green Packers sort of performance, but overall, real signs of improvement from the running attack. And I think that's something really positive to take away. And then I think Aaron Nagler pointed out the other one when it comes to defensive. Yeah. And this one, JJ McCarthy played a huge role in this one. But defensively, they've played 6 home games now, and they've allowed fewer than 20 points in all 6 of their home games. The first time that's happened since 1969. That was, again, credit to Aaron Nagler for pointing that one out. But I thought that's huge too, of this defense at home right now with that crowd. And, again, just home field advantage has been nothing but absolutely stellar. Now, unfortunately, they may only have 2 home games left the remainder of the season, which is really crazy to say. We'll see what seed they get in the NFC. Hopefully they can win the North to get at least one of those playoff games at home. But right now they only got 2 games left, and they're currently the 6th seed in the NFC. So that may not be as big of an advantage as we want it to be, but it's been huge for them so far.
All right, Andy, really quick on the way out here, since the next time that we usually talk to you is on Friday, that will be post Lions game.
We switched it. We're going to talk to him on Wednesday. I forgot to tell you about that.
Oh, you did not.
To him on Wednesday. Yeah, that's on me.
Okay. Well, for anyone that might already be on the road, not be here, quick thoughts on what the Packers need to do to prepare for the game against the Lions.
Yeah, just really quick. I think the big other takeaway from this game, which leads into Thursday, is we saw against the Giants this team commit 1,000,000,007 mistakes. And I thought yesterday there were 2 penalties only, no turnovers, no major special teams errors. There was none of that. So they no drops. They completely eliminated their own mental mistakes from that game. That's really what we need to see. If they're not playing against themselves, they're going to be a pretty, I'm not going to say unbeatable, but they're going to be a really tough team to beat for the remainder of the season. So for me, the first thing I'm looking at in that Lions game is, can they play a similar brand of football where they're not beating themselves on offense, defense, or special teams? And if that continues, I really like their chances not only to beat Detroit, but to maybe put a run together here at the end of this season.
Hopefully not much shakes out in the next 48 hours, but there's going to be something that we'll be able to talk with Andy on Wednesday for a preview for Thursday's Thanksgiving Day game. Andy Herman, follow him online at Andy Herman NFL, the Pack a Day podcast, joining us here on Inside Wisconsin Sports. Andy, we appreciate you, and Josh, you absolutely nailed this. Well done, man.
Yeah, just keep in mind
a lot of credit, but what you don't know is Trevor and I aren't wearing pants. You just don't know it. So it evens out really. So.
Yeah, no.
HR is right outside my door.
Yeah, as they should be. I just want everyone to know that this isn't for Trevor. Trevor, that's still ridiculous that you just came up with stuff. But I don't run away. I don't run away from this stuff. But not a bet.
That you did it.
Not a bet.
Not a bet.
Learn from this. Learning experience.
Andy, talk to you Wednesday, buddy.
Can't wait. Thanks, guys.